The GPT Group is a large Australian real estate investment trust. In fact, we were founded in 1971, so we are in fact the oldest real estate investment trust in Australia. We focus in the areas of retail, office and industrial, and very much at the premium end in those sectors, because we believe quality buildings provide superior returns. In terms of the size of GPT, we have approximately $10 billion of real estate investments as part of the headstock, and we have two managed funds, one being a wholesale office fund, another being a wholesale shopping centre fund, which collectively are just over another $5 billion of real estate.
What's your idea behind the green buildings concept?
Sure. GPT has been focused on green buildings for a long time. In fact, we were one of the first signatories back in 1997 to the Australian Federal Government Greenhouse Challenge Program. And I think the reason why we've been so focused on sustainability is that we grew out of Lend-Lease, which is a large engineering construction company. So a lot of staff in GPT have a project management engineering background. I'm actually an engineer by training myself, and we believe to make buildings greener, not only do they become more attractive to today's tenants, but clearly they run more efficiently and the outgoings are reduced. It's just the right thing to do.
How do you see the future in, let's say, 10, 20 years?
Yeah. We definitely see the future that green buildings will be the only buildings which tenants will want to reside in. Stop again. Reside is the wrong word. Okay. In 10 years' time, our view is that the only buildings which will survive are those buildings with very high sustainability criteria. When a tenant moves their offices, they always move to a better quality office. We call it a flight to quality. And the sustainability criteria of a building is just part of the quality criteria of a building. So the greener the building, the better the prime investment returns, because it will be more attractive to the tenants, both nowadays and in the future. I think it is important to explain perhaps the Australian context of why Australian companies are seen to be the leaders in sustainability. And I think one of the strong reasons is that Australia is a country with finite resources, particularly water. If we're not having a flood, we're having a drought or fires. So the environment is very real to Australians, and when we do have a severe flood, water becomes in very, very short supply, and everybody, be it at home or whether you're in your office building and so on, know that you've got to conserve water. During the recent drought in Australia, we had concerns we might run out of water, which provide the cooling to a number of our power stations. So there's increasing concern we may not be able to generate enough electricity. So this is all very much on the TV news, in the newspapers, our children are told at school and so on. So in many ways, Australians perhaps, because of this exposure, are more willing to listen to change or adopt to change by using less water, using less energy. And I think that certainly helped us at GPT and our peer companies to implement a lot of policies and procedures and upgrades in our buildings to make them greener. And for the same reason, it's the tenants of our buildings, or particularly their staff, who's saying, we want to be in a green building, because that's what they're practicing at home. They want to practice it at work as well. At GPT, we've been firm believers that investing in green, upgrading buildings to be more greener, to be more sustainable, pays and pays well. We started this journey approximately 15 years ago. 10 years ago, we developed a new national headquarters for the National Australia Bank in Docklands in Melbourne. And although the Green Building Council of Australia was only formed a year later, we adopted a lot of the policies and procedures into that building, and that building now, 10 years later, is still an outstanding example of a new green development, and so much so that the tenant, National Australia Bank, are already talking to us about renewing their lease for another 10 years. That is excellent value for money.